So it's kind of a misconception in the PDF world that all things on all PDF pages must be tagged at all times. It's not exactly true. You can have redundant elements or decorative elements, things that are really just providing like a speed bump to a screen reader user. So think of like, headers or footers or the revision dates, in the bottom margin of a page, like these types of things that recur, that are like recurring throughout the document are not offering any like unique information. And just the same as you wouldn't visually read it, your eyes would just kind of glance right past it if it's just like something in the margin. A screen reader user doesn't want to have that read to them on every page. So there is this concept in the PDF world called artifacting, and you can achieve that by simply clicking on a zone and hitting the remove zone button, or just hit backspace on your keyboard. So hitting backspace is the keyboard shortcut to artifact that element. So if I look at the HTML preview now, you'll see that it's no longer included. So the reading order for this page would start with my heading level 1 and then work through the rest of the content. So that's simple enough for like a short document. If you have like recurring elements in the margins, you can just click on them and hit backspace. But what about if we have a situation where you've got a 200-page document and every single one of those pages has like the chapter title or the revision date or a serial number for office use, like in the margin of the page. You can easily forget to do it across half the pages, and then you've got like a very sort of inconsistent experience for an end user. If you click and drag to just create a new zone and just make it intersect with that area of the page, you can change that zone either through the drop-down menu. You can change it to an ignore zone, or you can hit I on your keyboard, I for ignore. Now, what will happen here is, even though I have a text zone around that content, if I then go and look at the HTML preview, it's still not there. It's not included in the tagged reading order. But the nice thing about the ignore zone is that if I were to move on to the next page, without arriving at this page yet, the ignore zone is already there waiting for me. So it copies itself to all pages in the document so that you can artifact those things kind of just across the board without having to remember to like scroll to the bottom left corner and artifact by hitting backspace that little tiny zone. So it's a nice little trick to have up your sleeve for longer documents. In a real world setting, I would not use it on a 2-page document because I can just as easily click and hit backspace. But a couple of times, it's not really a big deal. But on long documents, it's a nice little trick to have. And you can create a better end user experience by using it because you're not making them read this redundant header across every page. One other thing is down here, we have this page number. Page numbers are actually, redundant in the PDF world. They can actually just cause confusion because this is not like anything other than just a screen reader reading 1. But the screen reader user already knows that they're on the first of 2 pages in the PDF. That's just how the PDF is built. And then this number 1 could actually easily be conflated with this sequence of numbers at the end of this paragraph. So just having a screen reader read 1 out loud is rather confusing because they don't really know what it's in reference to. They would probably be able to figure it out in this very simple document, but rather than like leaving it up to, hoping that they're able to figure it out, in general, I recommend removing them or hitting, backspace to artifact or using that ignore zone trick. But just to show you a different mechanic here on what you can do, if I scroll down a little bit on the left-hand side, there is this area called zone source. And underneath zone source, there are 4 different squares. The main zone source is PDF, and all that means is that whatever is encoded into the document, we just put a tag around it. So that's like, in general, everything is a PDF zone source. What I'm going to do, though, is while I have that zone selected, I can just click on Actual. And Actual is a way that I can edit what is read by a screen reader when it arrives at this tag. So instead of it just reading 1, I can make it read something like page 1 of 2. So I'm actually adding some additional context to what that element is instead of just, leaving it up to the screen reader user to interpret it.